All right, at no surprise to literally anybody, people are upset with Mayor Michelle Wu and her increase on property taxes. Somebody sent me this article. Let's just get right into it. So it says, Wu commercial tax increase opposed by the Small Property Owners Association. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a coalition of people. They may own multiple units and they are more than likely renting these out to tenants, and they are upset about this. The reason that they're more than likely upset about this is because anytime you tax people, especially a business owner or somebody that owns more commercial properties and they have tenants in those properties, the owners will absorb a portion of that cost. Guess where the other portion goes? To the tenant, and that's why they're upset. So let's get into the article. Let's see what it says. The Small Property Owners Association is urging local lawmakers to oppose Boston Mayor Michelle Wu's commercial and residential property tax increase. The Massachusetts House met in an informal session on Wednesday and sent the bill to the House Committee on Rules and then to the Joint Committee on Revenue. The tax bill would grant the mayor's office the power to temporarily shift the division of commercial and residential property taxes in response to projected economic upheaval. Critics of the bill, like the SPOA, call her 8% increase to Boston's fiscal year of 2025 budget egregious and say she should reduce excessive spending. All right. How long have we been talking about that? This is a Band-Aid on a bigger problem, okay? And if they're putting a Band-Aid on a bigger problem, but they're solving a bigger problem, and they said that publicly, right? I think that this would be better received by the public, okay? But if this is just a temporary shift and there's still going to be a problem with spending, then what is this for, right? What is this for? Okay. And say she should reduce excessive spending rather than increase taxes on small businesses and commercial tenants. Again, it ends up trickling down to the potential tenants. Mayor Wu's plan is to turn the most beleaguered sector, commercial real estate, to make up the difference in her overly bloated budget. There you go. Overly bloated budget. They need to fix the damn budget, not put a Band-Aid on certain items like this, because people are upset, all right? Said Small Property Owners Association Vice President Amir Shah Savari. Hope I did not butcher that name. If I did, I apologize. Why are Boston homeowners getting a free ride on the backs of the suburbs and commercial property owners? This is not a deal supported by the SPOA and our members. Currently, and this is crazy, wait till you see this. Currently, Boston has the highest reliance on commercial property tax collections as a share of the city's total revenue in the U.S., making up about 58% of the city's revenues. To put things into perspective, and I do not have these numbers directly in front of me, this is like 4 times the amount of other cities. I think New York may have been somewhere in the vicinity of like 12%, okay? And they're making up their taxes in other regions, okay? The issue, and I'm going to read more into the article here, but just hear me out. In my opinion, okay, commercial real estate in Boston is struggling. Okay, it's struggling. Places that were selling for $7 million years ago are selling for like half of that, right? And what happens is whenever properties are being valued or are being purchased at much less of what they were originally for, the taxes could follow, right? So you're not getting the same amount of revenue per tax on these commercial properties because they're coming down in value. On top of that, I'm positive that even people that do not want to sell their commercial properties and take a loss are not wanting to pay the same high taxes that they're paying. So what could potentially happen here, this is a ripple effect. And this is the bigger problem that they're not talking about. If they do anything where they try to appeal their taxes and then they're basing their taxes on newly closed sales or newly closed comparables, and they in turn reduce their taxes on the property that they don't want to sell, it means there's less revenue in terms of taxes for the city. And that is the bigger of the two problems. That is what the problem is. Okay. And I think that they know that. I think they're not saying that directly, but I think that they know that there's going to be substantially less tax revenue because of the declining sales of commercial real estate. And on top of that, people may be appealing their taxes, consulting with an appraiser, pulling the most recent comps, so on and so forth to get their taxes lowered. In turn, that means that the city will receive less money. All right. During a Boston City Council meeting last week, Councilor John Fitzgerald claimed that property taxes will likely still spike when the legislation lapses in 3 years. I just talked about that in my last video, right? I just said, is this a temporary Band-Aid and then our tax is going to go up anyway? Normally, what we, at least the public, would want to see is if they do something like this and they're shifting around how they're going to tax residential, commercial, or investment properties, you would hope at the very least that there would be some stabilization for the following years. I do not think that's going to happen, and I don't think that's going to happen based on what I just told you of what property values for commercial properties are, okay? Under state law, cities and towns can tax commercial and residential properties at separate rates and push commercial rates as high as 175% of what a single unified rate would have been. After making, and this was even higher, she made some concessions on this. After making some concessions, Mayor Wu's proposal includes a 3-year plan with a 181.5% tax shift. In the 2 following fiscal years, she says the rate won't exceed 180%, then 178%. But what's going to be after that? Is it going to be 200%? Is it going to be 225%? This is the issue. There needs to be a little bit more clarity on this. But overall, they need to fix the bigger problem, not put Band-Aids on the big problem, which is fixing the budget. Right? Start with the budget and then work backwards, right? If you need to do this and then in turn you tell the taxpayers that we're working on fixing the budget, we spent too much money. Like, transparency is the number one rule when it comes into things like this, right? Even if people knew what was going on, they would still be upset. But at least it would give them some clarity on the bigger issue, which is the budget. If they were fixing the budget or trying to figure out ways to fix the budget, this would be a little bit more passable, okay? But the fact of the matter is, I have not seen, if somebody wants to send me a link, I'll review it. I have not seen much talk about where they went wrong with the budget. If it were me, that's what I would talk about. Look, over the last few years, we spent too much money here, or we gave too much money here, so in turn, we apologize, but we have to do this. After this takes place, everything should potentially be back to normal. At least have those conversations with the public. That's really what needs to happen here. The Boston City Council passed this compromise version of the bill in conjunction with the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, NAIOP, Mass Taxpayers Foundation, and the Boston Municipal Research Bureau. The tax rates will be finalized and approved in November and certified in December by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue. So overall, higher taxes for the next portion of the next few years, okay? But again, the bigger issue, this is a Band-Aid. This is a problem, okay? If the budget keeps getting out of control, what is going to happen after the 3 years? What are taxes going to go up to? I'm sure there are people that are substantially more or smarter than I am that could figure these things out, right? Look at the budget. Where did you spend that you shouldn't have spent, and cut back on those areas? Don't make it fall on the residents that are already struggling here in Boston. Everything is already expensive. The cost of living is already expensive. And who affects this? The people that this affects the most are people that are, are seniors that are on some sort of, financial budget per month, and they're not making any more money. Now, all of a sudden, they have to pay more money on their taxes, right? Or they're tenants, and now all of a sudden, the landlord has to increase their rent because of increased taxes, right? It just trickles down. So fix the damn budget. Let the people know where you're spending money wrong, okay? Say we made a mistake. People are more forgiving, in my opinion, when you come forth and you say, look, I made a mistake. We need to reallocate funds here or there. But this is just insane to me, okay? Because it's a temporary plan for what is a bigger problem. And it's a temporary plan with no future plan. Okay, they did not give any plan for the future of what's going to happen in the taxes, because they probably don't know either, because they're relying on this potential increase or incremental increase in state revenue or city revenue to help offset the cost of what the budget is. Fix the damn budget. Don't tax people more money. Let me know what you think about this. Are you going to be affected by this? What are your thoughts? Has anybody here that's watching this looked at the budget? I may end up, I'm not that great with, I know real estate, right? I don't really look at budgets that often, but if somebody wants to send it to me, I could glaze over it and just give my opinions on a couple things. But if there's anybody out there that knows what happened with the budget and wants to comment or email me, please let me know. I'd be happy to discuss it or even bring you on my channel. Let's figure out a way out of this, right? Let's figure out a way to make people whole. Let's figure out a way to put people in a position where they could afford where they're living, right? That should be the key, not putting Band-Aids on a bigger problem. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.